In tomorrow's world, you'll be able to eat all the meat you want without actually eating the animal, and again, causing the negative externalities that often comes from that. Human beings have had a relationship for over 2.5 million years with meat. When you think about the problems of the current food system, first we should think about people. And the food that they eat, and they don't have a lot of money to buy that food, is loaded up with sugar, it's loaded up with lots of saturated fat, it's loaded up with lots of conventional animal protein. So there's a lot of environmental impact that's associated with that. So you step back and you see global environmental issues, you see the unfairness in the developing world, and you see a food system that doesn't match who we are. What would it look like if we just started it over? So I got to thinking, is there a set of tools out there in the world that I could build a company around that are mostly unexplored? Could we look at the plant kingdom? Could we look at this new set of tools out there to make products that are better? There's another toolkit out there, one in which you don't have to kill or confine an animal, but one in which you can utilize their cells to manufacture in an entirely different, clean, exciting way. And that's this idea of clean meat.
So right now we're in the middle of Just Plant Library. What you'll find in these containers are powders, roots, beans, seeds from over 60 countries. What's really unique about our plant library and our system here that you won't find anywhere else in the world, which enables us to be leaders in the clean meat world, is that we generate data about plants that can potentially feed cells, so that we no longer have to use fetal bovine serum. We can actually use plants to create the next generation of meat products.
So let's say in front of me I have the best tasting chicken. I would take a biopsy of that chicken, and just with that single cell, we identify nutrients that would help that cell grow. We feed that cell nutrients, and then the way you might think about brewing beer, something called a fermenter, we actually manufacture those cells, and then the end product is a piece of chicken. And it's a way of separating the idea of eating and killing the animal and eating meat. When you think about eating meat in this way, eating meat that doesn't require all the antibiotics, eating meat that doesn't require crowding animals in the small spaces, you're radically mitigating the food safety issue.
When we have people come in and try it straight from the bioreactor into a pan, cooked with nothing else, I think it kind of dispels a lot of the smoke and mirrors for people when they are able to see that and taste it and go, oh my gosh, this is chicken, it's delicious. Under a microscope, one for one, the cells are identical to animal cells. We call it clean meat. When you taste it, it tastes clean, it tastes rich, it tastes umami, it tastes like meat. As soon as it hits the pan, you smell meat, and it's wonderful. And when we consume, animal protein, one thing that we don't think about is there's a lot of bitter off volatiles. There's iron and blood, and there's flavors that are astringent. It's not until you try something without those bitter flavors in there do you really understand like clean meat. The great thing about this is it's off-the-shelf technology. There's been cellular agriculture for hundreds of thousands of years. When you look at brewing beer, making wine, making yeast, these are all versions of cellular agriculture. Someday in the future, restaurants having a single bioreactor in there, that's about as fresh as you can get, producing your meat right there in the restaurant before it comes to your table.
Certain components of different plants or ingredients function in different ways to make a food work the way it does. And so that's what we look for. We look for these functionalities, be they emulsification or gelation or solubility. And plants have many of these same properties that other ingredients might have. So for example, if you were to take a bean and see that it actually has an ability to bind oils together, that's called emulsification. And so you look at mayonnaise or dressings, they are able to be made with beans, for example.
This year, we're launching Just Egg. It's a bean that scrambles in a pan, and it looks like a chicken egg, except it's made from a bean.
So this is based off of mung bean protein. But if I am going to tell you that something is an egg, you know what it's supposed to look like. You know when it's done. When I scramble an egg, there's no instructions. If this were an actual chicken egg, this is exactly how I would cook it. In this, we've got water, oil, the mung bean protein, some salt, and some minerals. The actual color of the mung bean is actually a palish white or yellow. All right, that's done. And then, because it's scrambled eggs, I'm gonna crack a little fresh black pepper on here. Welcome to mung bean eggs, bon appetit.
I mean, it looks just like scrambled eggs. That's incredible.
We didn't look at as an alternative. We wanted to have something that was as good or better than an actual scrambled egg.
And it tastes like scrambled eggs. Can we finish it?
Oh, by all means.
We have 120 people working here, from computational biologists to Michelin star chefs. We're just taking the best of pharma, we're taking the best of biomedicine, we're taking the best of other disciplines. In the last 6.5 years, we've grown quite a bit. So you can find us in 100,000 plus points of distribution. We're in every Walmart, we're in Mexico City, we're in Hong Kong. I'm doing tens of millions in sales. We've come a long way. We want to work with some of the biggest food manufacturers, some of the biggest egg companies, some of the biggest meat processors, and license our technology to them so they do it. I think if we bring other people into this, we're going to fix the problem a lot faster. Well, more than anything, I want this to be a business that was responsible for shifting the food system from unsustainable to a food system that is sustainable. And I think the simple way to do that is make stuff that tastes really good and make it affordable, and then work with others to make it happen. If we're serious about both enabling the world to eat meat, but doing it in a way that we can actually have a world that we don't want to live on, it's probably the only path.